Hello students, welcome to my channel. So my name is World. So today I am going to discuss about the process of transportation. In the previous video, I have already discussed about the process of respiration. So come and we will discuss about the process of transportation. So what is transportation? Transportation is the process by which substances are carried out from one part of the body to another part, where is its requirement. As you know, our body is formed of different types of cells, and these cells also require oxygen, water and food for their survival. So, by the process of transportation, our body or each cell of our body gets its requirements. So, in this part, we have to know about the mode of transportation. So, the mode of transportation is not same for all organisms. In case of unicellular organisms like amoeba, chlamydomonas, it carried out by the simple process of diffusion. But in case of multicellular organisms, the process of transportation, it needs a special system. So, in case of plant, the process of transportation is known as vascular system. But in case of animals, this is known as circulatory system. So, in this part or in this process of transportation, the transportation is human is the very much important part of this life process. So, come to the transportation in human. In case of human, they need a specialized system, that is circulatory system. And for this circulatory system, the human body, it needs a organ, that is heart. And through this circulatory system, nutrients, hormones, oxygens and waste product, it carried out throughout the body. And this circulatory system, it has three main parts. They are circulatory medium, that is blood and lymph, and some circulatory vessels, which are artery, vein and capillaries. And third one is a pumping organ, that is heart. So, in case of human, for the process of transportation, there is need of three main parts, that is circulatory medium. For this process, a medium is required, that is blood and lymph. These two will give the medium for the process of circulation. And the circulatory vessels, that is artery, vein and capillaries, to flow this circulatory fluid through a structure or the tube-like structure, and they are known as artery, vein and capillaries. Then a pumping organ, that is heart, is required for the process of circulation in case of humans. So first come to the circulatory medium, that is blood and lymph. So there are two main components of the blood, and they are plasma and blood corpuscles. So what is plasma? Plasma is actually a straw colored yellowish alkaline fluid, and it composed about 50 to 60% of the total blood, and it contains about 90 to 92% of water, 1 to 2% of inorganic salt, and about 7 to 9% of organic compounds. And the inorganic compounds that it contains, it includes the carbonates, bicarbonates, sulfates, and phosphates of calcium, potassium, magnesium, and sodium. And the organic components that it contains, they are the proteins like albumin, globulin, and fibrinogen, and some urea, uric acid, nutrients, and hormones it also contains. And here in the plasma, the blood corpuscles are present in a suspended form. So next come to the blood corpuscles. And these blood corpuscles, they are of three types. They are RBCs, WBCs, and platelets. So RBCs, that is red blood cells, WBCs, white blood cells, and platelets. So first come and we will know about RBCs. RBCs actually, these are biconcave shape and disc-like structure, and these are non-nucleated. And these RBCs, they are actually found in the bone marrow, and their lifespan is about 120 days. And after 120 days, it go for disposal, and the spleen is actually the site of its disposal. So spleen is known as the graveyard of RBCs. So spleen is known as the graveyard of RBCs. And these RBCs, it contains the pigment, that is hemoglobin, and due to presence of this hemoglobin, the RBCs are red in color. And the hemoglobin, it has two parts, that is hem part and globin part. The hem part is actually, it contains the iron, so it gives the red color, and the globin is the protein part of hemoglobin. So in case of an adult human, it contains about 15 ml of RBCs per 100 ml of blood in case of male, and in case of female, it is about 12 to 15 ml per 100 ml of blood in case of female. So these RBCs, it actually helps in the process of respiration by mixing with the oxygen, and it forms oxyhemoglobin, and which will carry out to different part of the body. So next come to the WBCs. WBCs are the white blood cells, and they lack the pigment hemoglobin, so they are white in color. And these are also found in the bone marrow. And the process of formation of WBCs is known as lymphopoiesis, and also the formation of RBCs also known as erythropoiesis. So the process of formation of WBCs is known as leukopoiesis, and in this process they are formed inside the bone marrow, and their lifespan is about 12 hours to many days, and their function is to give protection against different types of infections and diseases. And the WBCs, they are actually two types. They are granulocytes and agranulocytes. Again, the WBC is divided into granulocytes and agranulocytes. So The granulocytes again, they are of three types. They are neutrophil, eosinophils and basophils. They are neutrophils, basophils and eosinophils. These three types of WBCs, they contains granules in their cytoplasm, so they are granulocytes. But the agranulocytes, they lack any granules in their cytoplasm, and it is again of two types. They are lymphocyte and monocyte. Lymphocyte and monocytes. And the function of this lymphocyte, it gives the immunity to the body and it gives the protection against different types of germs and infections. And the monocyte, it also helps in the killing of different types of foreign pathogens. So then come to the platelets. Platelets are these are the fragments of cells that are produced in the bone marrow, and their main function is to help in the process of clotting. When a blood vessel gets damaged and it releases the blood, the platelets, it release a type of chemical that is thrombocyte. And these thrombocytes, they help in the process of blood clotting. So these were all about the types of blood corpuscles, and there are RBCs, WBCs and platelets. So all the three have very much important functions. So in blood we have to know about clotting of blood. So what is clotting of blood? The conversion of blood, the liquid blood, into jelly form when the blood vessel gets damaged is known as clotting of blood or blood clotting. And the blood, when it flows through the blood vessel, it does not get clot because due to the presence of the natural anticoagulant, that is heparin. Due to presence of this heparin, or this is also known as antiprothrombin. And due to presence of this natural anticoagulant, the blood inside the blood vessel, it does not get clot. And the blood clotting, it initiates when the blood vessel gets damaged. And during this time, the platelets, they come and they release a type of chemical that is thromboplastin. So the injured tissues, when it comes in contact with platelets, they release thromboplastin. And this thromboplastin, in presence of calcium salts, they convert the prothrombin into thrombin. The calcium and thromboplastin. The prothrombin is the inactive form and this is the active form. And after the formation of thrombin, it undergoes some catalytic activity and it converts the inactive or the soluble form of fibrinogen into insoluble form, that is fibrin. fibrin by the catalytic activity of thrombin, and the fibrinogen it converts into fibrin, and after the fibrin it helps in the blockage of the blood vessel where it gets cut, and after this the RBCs they entangled in this fibrin clot. So the fibrin plus RBCs they form the blood clot. So blood clot is the mixing of fibrin with RBCs. So after the completion of the clotting process, there is a colorless liquid that released from the wound, that is known as serum, and this serum is without fibrinogen. So by these steps the process of clotting it becomes complete. So in blood we knew about the different types of corpuscles, plasma and the clotting of blood. So next come to the lymph. So in the human body there is a specialized lymphatic system present, and these include the lymph vessels, lymph nodes and lymph. So the lymphatic system it includes the lymph vessels, lymph nodes and the lymph, and this lymph flows through these lymph vessels, and there are some muscular cells present in a patch form or in a string, beads on a string like structure on the blood vessels, and they are known as the lymph nodes. And these lymph nodes they contains the plasma cells and the monocytes and lymphocytes, and the function of these types of cells to fight with the infections and germs and some foreign particles that come into our body. So the lymphatic system it gives some immunity to our body against different types of infection, and the lymph it flows through these lymph vessels, and these lymph vessels it also carries some food from the intestine, and these are present at the base of the villi, and it carry the food and it give to different types of cells which are not reachable to the capillaries of blood. So in the lymphatic system it includes blood lymph vessels, lymph nodes and lymph, and there are important organs of lymphatic system, and they are tonsils, spleen and thymus. These organs they actually contain some lymphocytes, and these lymphatic systems they contain some, or the lymph they contain a type of WBCs that is known as lymphocyte, and these lymphocytes are mainly present more in number in tonsils cells, spleen cells and thymus cells, and they gives protection to the body. And the lymphatic system and these lymph nodes are actually they are present in the neck region and the armpit and groins. So these were all about the lymphatic system. So lymphatic system has a very important role in case of circulatory system, in case of human also. So next come to the, so in this we covered the circulating medium, that is blood and lymph. So next come to the blood vessels. So there are three types of vessels present. They are arteries, veins and capillaries. So as the blood is a liquid, so it needs some tube-like structure for its flowing. So the transportation includes some vessels which are arteries, veins and capillaries. So first come to the arteries. Arteries actually it carry the blood from heart to different parts of the body, and it is very much thick as compared to veins, and they are deeply seated, and it is very much elastic as the arteries they contain the oxygenated blood, and this blood it will be in a very much high pressure. So to accommodate with the high pressure of blood, the arteries are made to be thicker in comparison with veins. And there are two types of arteries which are present superficially. They are radial artery and carotid artery. The radial artery is present near the wrist and carotid artery is present in the neck region. So then come to the veins. Veins are superficially present and they are thinner as compared to the arteries, and it carries substances from different body part to the heart. So the flow in case of veins is from body to the heart, and there are some vessels present in between the veins to prevent the backflow of substances in the backward direction. And then come to the capillaries. The capillaries, these are the minute network which present throughout the cells. After the artery, it carries the oxygenated blood from the heart, then it goes to arterioles, and the arterioles again it flows its secretion into the capillaries, and again the capillaries it give the oxygen and liquids to the cells, and again it bring the different types of waste and carbon dioxide from the cell, and again it return to the venules. Again the venules they unite to form the veins, and again the veins they carry out the different types of substances and the oxygenated blood again to the heart. So the network is artery, then it forms arterioles, then it gives its secretion to the capillaries. Again the capillaries it gives its substances to the venules. Again the small venules they unite to form the veins, and again the vein it gives its flowing to the heart. So this is the whole circuit of flowing of blood from the heart and to the heart. Then come to the third part, that is the pumping organ, that is the heart. And the heart it looks like a fist-like structure from external, and the heart it weighs about 300 gram. Its length is about 12 cm in length and 9 cm in width. The heart is 4-chambered in case of human, and the upper two chambers which are known as two auricles and two ventricles. So next come to the internal structure of the heart. If we see the internal structure of heart, it is divided into four chambers. There are two auricles, two ventricles, and there is some vessels present and some valves present. So the internal structure of heart, it includes two auricles, two ventricles, some vessels and valves. So the two auricles, they are the right auricle and left auricle, and the auricle, it is also known as atrium. Then come to the two ventricles, that is right ventricle and left ventricle, and there is a septum present between the auricle and the ventricle, and that is known as auriculoventricular septum. And there is also some vessels present inside the heart, and those are the pulmonary arteries, the pulmonary veins, aorta, superior vena cava, inferior vena cava, etc. And these vessels helps in the in and out of the blood to the heart. And the heart, it is surrounded by a covering that is known as the pericardium. In the pericardium, it is two layer. There is a space present between the two layers, and that is known as pericardial space. Inside the pericardial space, there is a fluid present which is known as pericardial fluid, and this fluid gives protection to the heart from mechanical injuries. So then come to the valves. And the valves, these are actually, there are four types of valves present. They are the bicuspid valve, tricuspid valve, aortic semilunar valve, and pulmonary semilunar valve. So the bicuspid valve, tricuspid valve, and aortic semilunar valve, and pulmonary semilunar valve. So the first is bicuspid valve, and this valve is present at the interauricular septum of left side, and this is bicuspid valve, and there is two cups like structure is present, and this valve is also known as mitral valve, and it controls the flowing of blood from the auricle to ventricle. So then come to the tricuspid valve, and this tricuspid valve, it present between the right auriculoventricular septum, and in case of tricuspid valve, there are three cups present. And then come to the aortic semilunar valve, and this valve is present between the left ventricle and the aorta. And then come to the pulmonary semilunar valve, and this valve is present between the right ventricle and the pulmonary artery. Here, this is the pulmonary semilunar valve, and here there will be the aortic semilunar valve, and the function of all these valves is to prevent the backflow of blood. So these were all about the internal and external structure of the heart. And here the auricles, they are actually thin, their wall is very thin as compared to the ventricles, as from the ventricles the blood is in pressure, so it has to be thick in its structure. So then come to the heartbeat. It is the rhythmic contraction and relaxation of our heart, and the contraction phase is known as systole and the relaxation phase is known as diastole. So The systole phase, when the pulmonary vein it brings the oxygenated blood to the left atrium, it gets relaxed, and when it flow its blood to the left ventricle and it becomes contract, and this phase is known as systole. And from the ventricle again, when the pressure increases inside the ventricle, it flow its blood to the outer through different parts of the body, and again the ventricle it also come to its contraction phase. So after both the contraction of atria and ventricle, both those are come to the relaxation phase. So the systole of the atrium, both the atriums, it completes in 0.5 seconds, and the diastole of both the ventricles of left and right side, it completes in 35 seconds, and the relaxation of both auricles and ventricles, it completes, the relaxed phase is about 0.40 seconds. So if we add this, it will become 5 seconds. So for one heartbeat or a complete cycle, it takes about 0.85 seconds. So, and there is 72 times per minute occurs, and the heartbeat it occurs about 72 times per the minute, and each cycle it takes about 0.85 seconds. And this heartbeat is controlled by a SA node which is present on the, there is a SA node that is present on the wall of the right atrium, and this SA node is actually controlled by the autonomic nervous system of our body. So after the stimulation of this SA node, the heartbeats it starts. And then come to the heart sound. There are actually two types of sound produced by the heart, that is loud and dull. Is produced by the sound that is loud and dull. The first sound is loud and second sound is dull. The first sound it is produced by the closing and opening of the bicuspid and tricuspid valve, and the dull it is formed by the closing and opening of the semilunar valves. So in this part when you know about the heart sound, and this sound it is very much similar to that of the pulse rate. So what is pulse? Pulse is the periodic expansion and elongation of atrial wall due to regular contraction of heart muscle, and this is about 72 times per minute, which is same with the rate of heartbeat. So then come to blood pressure. What is blood pressure? So due to the flowing of blood through the artery in a very high pressure, it creates a pressure on the wall of artery, and this is known as blood pressure. And the blood pressure increases when the heart flows all the oxygenated blood into the artery to distribute it into different types of body parts. And this blood pressure is measured by the instrument sphygmomanometer, and the normal blood pressure should be of a healthy human, it should be 120 by 80 Hg. Here this is 120 by 80 Hg. Here the 120 it is the pressure of the systolic pressure, and 80 is the diastolic pressure. And I have already talked about what is systolic pressure and what is diastolic pressure. Systolic pressure is the contraction of both the artery of the heart, and the diastolic pressure is the contraction of both the ventricles of the heart. So, the blood pressure of a healthy human, it should be 120 by 80 Hg. So, then come to the circulation of blood. The circulation of blood in different types of organisms, it is different. In case of fishes, the types of circulation is single types of circulation. Means there is actually in the heart of fish there are two chambers, that is one auricle and one ventricle. So the oxygenated blood, it comes from the gill, then it comes to auricle, then from the ventricle it goes to different body parts, and after the use it again becomes deoxygenated and it returns back to the gills again. As the blood enters this once through the heart, then so in case of fish the circulation is single type of circulation, and there is also in amphibians and reptiles the circulation, it may be incomplete double circulation. Means there are actually three chambered heart in case of amphibians and reptiles. They have two auricles and one ventricles, and there is some mixing of oxygenated and deoxygenated blood occurs, and they manage also it. So when the oxygenated blood comes to auricle, then it comes to ventricle, and the deoxygenated blood, it also comes to the ventricle, and it will mix here, and from the ventricle it goes to different body part for the use. So there is some mixing of oxygenated and deoxygenated blood in case of reptiles and amphibians. So it is known as incomplete double circulation. So then come to the circulation in human, and in case of human the circulation is double circulation type. Means the blood, it enters in twice into the heart. So the two pathways are, one is systemic pathway, another is pulmonary pathway. So the two pathway is pulmonary pathway and this is the systemic pathway. So first come to the pulmonary pathway. In the pulmonary pathway, when the deoxygenated blood, what happens in the pulmonary pathway? In the pulmonary pathway, when the deoxygenated blood, that is the blood after using through the body, then it comes to the right atrium through vena cava, that is the superior vena cava and the inferior vena cava. Then it comes to the right atrium. After it comes into the right atrium, then it goes to the right ventricle through the tricuspid valve, and after it comes to the right ventricle, then it goes through the pulmonary artery to the lungs for oxygenation. And this route of the circulation is known as pulmonary circulation. Again I am telling, when after using of the oxygenated blood by the body, it becomes deoxygenated, then it goes to the right atrium again through the superior and inferior vena cava, and after coming to that right atrium, it comes to the right ventricle through the tricuspid valve, and then from right ventricle it goes through pulmonary artery to the lungs for oxygenation, and this route is the pulmonary unit. And after the deoxygenated blood coming to the lungs, then it becomes oxygenated by the capillary action, where the oxygen, it mixes with the deoxygenated blood, and the blood here becomes oxygenated. Again the oxygenated blood, it comes through the pulmonary vein. These are the pulmonary veins. There are four pairs of pulmonary veins, these two and these two. They enter into the left into the left auricle, and the each two is from one lungs. And the after coming to the left auricle, then the oxygenated blood it goes to the left ventricle through bicuspid valve. Here is a bicuspid valve present. Through the bicuspid valve, the oxygenated blood comes from the left auricle to the left ventricle. And after coming to the left ventricle, the blood it goes to the aorta, and this is the, and from here the blood goes to the aorta, and through this systemic artery it goes to the different body part for its use. And the aorta it actually enters the wall of the left ventricle, and from here there is a semilunar valve also present to prevent the backflow of the blood again to the ventricle. And then from the left ventricle the blood goes to aorta, and from aorta it through the systemic artery it goes to into the body, and in the body through the capillaries. At each cell the capillaries they are present, and they helps in the diffusion of oxygen from the oxygenated blood into the cells. So this pathway is known as the systemic circulation or the systemic unit of circulation. This is the pulmonary unit and this is the systemic unit. So the pulmonary unit it starts with the deoxygenated blood, and the systemic unit it starts with the oxygenated blood. So in these two pathways the circulation completes. So in case of human, as the blood enters twice the heart, that's why this type of circulation is known as double circulation. So these were all about the process of circulation in human. In the next class we will discuss about the process of transportation in case of plant. So thank you for today.